Oh, I don't know if I can read this. Oh, thank you. Hello, my name's Lucy O'Brien, and I'm going to be in conversation tonight with Tori. We'll have a chat, and then she'll play a few songs. And after that, I'll talk some more with her specifically about the creative inspiration behind some of her songs, and she'll play another section for you. But firstly, I just wanted to introduce her, really, and I've just written a little thing here. Just to say, I first met Tori in 1996, and it was the time of her third album, Boys for Pele. I was interviewing her for a women's magazine called Diva, and I was very impressed by her intelligence and her humour and her warmth. I've interviewed her on several occasions since then, including one very memorable trip where I went with a Channel 4 film crew to her house in Cornwall. We filmed her for a documentary about rock and feminism, and it was a film called Righteous Babes. And it was there that she gave us a very impromptu performance of her work in progress from the Choir Girl Hotel. I've been working as a music journalist and an author for 18 years and have met many rock musicians, but Tori stands out for me not just because she's so grounded and seemingly unaffected by fame, but also because of the way she never censors her spirit. She has an anarchic creativity to which she gives free rein, and she never suffers from that peculiarly female affliction of a need for approval. She's always been an outspoken supporter of feminism and women's creativity, and that's why I made her a key interview for my book She Bop, A History of Women in Rock, which I've got here. And I just want to say that since '91, Tori has recorded 7 best-selling albums, including Little Earthquakes, Under the Pink, and 2001's memorable Strange Little Girls, where she reinterpreted classic songs written by men, such as Lou Reed and Eminem. And she sold more than 15 million albums worldwide, and in 2001, she came number 4 in Q's list of greatest female artists of all time. She also established RAIN, one of the biggest US campaigns and helplines in America for victims of rape or abuse. Despite her achievements, she's always remained modest, with a strong sense of female solidarity. And to sum up, I'd like to read something that she said to me for the book. She says, the younger artists, the younger female artists, they're all very unique women, with their own take on it, with their own language and their own story to tell. There's room for everyone to claim their own story. There cannot be a hierarchy amongst women. Effectively, she summed up the importance of women's history when she said, some have paved ways, and women before me have taken their machete into the jungle, parts of the jungle that are not so traversed, like Kate Bush and Joni Mitchell. Other offshoots, Alanis Morissette, Fiona Apple, have made their own path. You honour the women before you and after you. There isn't a copyright on this story. So tonight I'd like us to welcome Tori Amos. That's out now, and what inspired that, and what got you into that?
Well, thank God for unbinding contracts. It started off back to the wall, but then it's kind of great how you're forced to do a double take and think, okay, they can do this without us, because they can. And the kids that were coming to the shows were showing me that they had their best ofs already, because they'd made them. So they would give me a different one every night and say, this is my compilation that I've made. And I kind of thought, well, what access do we have? And, husband said, get your hand on those multi-track tapes.
So tell us what multi-track tapes are.
Those are the original multi-tapes of the music. So you have your completed tapes, which are masters, and these are pre-masters. So this is where the stuff is on. This is the stuff.
Some of them were found in very weird places, weren't they? Like down the back of a fridge. Or it took some rooting out, didn't it?
It's hard finding the multis now. When I say multis, you all know what I mean. Multi-track tapes. Okay? So I found out that some of them were gone, and I got a call from husband, and he said, such and such is gone. I said, what do you mean she's gone? He said, it's just gone. So he brought back the safeties, and that was kind of an eye-opener for me to see that, brace yourselves, while the record industry's imploding, the first thing to go are the tape libraries. So we decided, bring them all in, and let's catalog them at Martian.
Save them, basically.
Yeah, well, we can.
Yes, yeah. And you used all the originals, didn't you? You didn't sort of put on 2003 mixes.
Well, what we kind of thought is we needed to make a rule for ourselves. I love discipline. And so we decided, we said, okay, if this were recorded in 1992, then just say there was a dropout of a background vocal, which we came across. If it didn't exist anywhere else within that time frame, then it's gone. And because, you can fly them in from different choruses and you can kind of patch it together. But I felt like if an instrument, if it were gone, then I couldn't imprint something from our time now onto that time. And sometimes we found other things magically that didn't exist, like a string line that we didn't know was there. And so we would all look at each other and say, okay, what genius didn't add this on? And sometimes you try and remember, some coked out, fanatical person coming in the room saying, strings aren't hot this week for radio.
So were any of the songs quite hard to revisit?
Yeah, there were some. Once we came up with the idea of that we really would love a CD from a Roman woman when Rome was at the end of its heyday. So we figure, okay, well, we're American. There's a parallel. So we decided, why not give the world an American woman's viewpoint and tell this kind of a sonic autobiography that talks about her own life and what she went through, but yet also how social events affected her. And once we knew the basis of that, then we started, pulling it all together.
Because it's quite interesting you would say about the song Playboy Mummy that on rehearing it you felt very differently from when you'd actually recorded it. Can you say a bit about that?
I think when I recorded that was a really painful time, and some of you that are here know that. And it was an odd thing because I remember a journalist coming to visit me, and when I was in London, and he said, why do you have that Band-Aid on your arm? Are you doing drugs again? I said, what are you talking about? And he said, no, the word is that you're involved in all kinds of stuff. And I said, no, I miscarried. And I think that time was a time of just incredible loss and emptiness. And so when I was visited by, it seemed like all these children and all these mothers from another plane while I was writing Choir Girl. And I would walk out and almost feel their ghosts coming up over the water because we were in the tropics. And the songs would wrap around me, and there was this one little girl that, said that she had left this plane and she loved the mom here, but it wasn't right. And she said, so I'm gonna find another mommy like your little girl. And in that moment, the song came to me. And when I recorded it, though, it seemed like a grieving. And when we listened back, we discovered that she had so much love, this woman. And we were comparing her with different multis of that time. And there was something, the reason she made it on the record is because we had no idea that, yes, she lost the child, but she was given the gift to love in a way that she had never, ever loved before. And we all heard that when we listened back, and that was a surprise.
Yeah. I want to ask you a bit, obviously we'll have to move into your songs quite soon, but I want to ask you a bit about, you've been living here a while now, and what do you like about Cornwall?
Surfing, he says. Surfers. No, everybody knows I'm monogamous. This is the thing. My eyes are monogamous. Cornwall is this place that some of you have been to, and maybe some of you are from. But it has a lot going on there. Do you know the other week, right? This woman goes around the town, and she's really angry at this guy, apparently. And from what everybody tells me, all the builders and the people that come and work at the place, she's tearing through the town, right? And he was at this pub, and all of a sudden, I think he says to somebody, "Ooh, I better, fuck off." And so he kind of meanders somewhere, and she finds him, and do you know what she does? She runs his ass over. Imbued. I was fascinated. And then, do you know what happens next? She backs over him to make sure. And then, do you know what happened next? They took her in. Right. And I found out he was walking around town in a few days. He was walking around town.
Sounds like the Midwest.
Yeah, it does have that quality, except the Midwest doesn't have those surfers. But Cornwall, the good thing is hard for the record company to get to.
And what do you miss about America?
Some things. No, I'm coming. Honestly, I think the Brits are very good when everything is at their worst. And everybody's at their worst. The Brits are just great. But when the sun is shining and it's beautiful, and you're just saying, yes, global warming is great for England. And people just walk around and go, God, it just sucks around here, doesn't it? And you go, geez, come on.
And I want to ask a trivial question about Graham Norton, because we all saw you last night. It looked amazing. What was it like? Did you enjoy it? And how did that compare with a TV chat show experience in America?
Well, you see, because Graham is, he comes by and he sees you before the show and you have a chat with him. And I adore him, so, you have a little chat about, so what'd you do this weekend? I went to New York, did you think, oh, he's good, all that. Well, you don't do that with David Letterman. You just don't do that. I think, he's fantastic, but there's a different kind of, they all say hi and they greet you and everything, but it is sort of a, there's a line.
Much more formal.
Very formal.
Yeah. Well, seeing as we're talking about America, there's another US dignitary
Junior.
What do you feel about the hoo-ha surrounding his trip? And also tell us a bit about the song Angels, which in a way is your most overtly political song.
Well, I think that I remember being in Florida voting for Nader that day. Yeah. And I think whether it was, the winged ballots or the hanging chads or whatever anybody wants to say about it, it's strange how when you look back, no different than I think we'll look back in 2 years' time from now. God knows what people are going to do when they vote, knowing that they're going to change the course. Truly, I think of a nation in such a huge way. But it's almost as if people didn't want to hear that this could happen, that this could be happening, that roles were being purged. And that book, The Best Democracy Money Can Buy, was kind of passed to me. And having lived some of it, being in Florida at the time, nursing Tash, it was the scariest thing to think that if people were told then, okay, you all will be back in a war that you thought you were out of, if you choose to let this stand. And the oddest thing is that, he wasn't anointed by the people. He is there, and he took it sort of like, that John character you all had here hundreds of years ago. Is that King John, the brother? Richard the Lionheart's brother, right? He kind of took it too, didn't he? Yeah, is that right? Yeah. King John, yeah, he took it. So it's a strange thing watching people in America, people that believed, in civil liberties and really here, and somehow talk themselves into agreeing with going to this war and agreeing with what they were being told. And I think everybody thought that they couldn't be manipulated. And that's what I saw. Nobody thought that they could be drawn in, that they were making this decision based on the facts. And so angels started coming, this idea of these beings trapped on the Potomac River. Because I think that people lost their will to question, almost as if something was ripped from them. The right to question.
It also seems that a lot of artists felt intimidated and felt that they couldn't really speak out. And one of the phrases in the song is about the truth being buried. Would you say it's always been an important thing to you to speak out, to be honest about what's going on?
Well, I think if you're an artist who is lucky enough to have a group of people that will be there, with you if you speak true, then you have to speak out, because there were some artists that did speak out and realized that the people that came to listen to their music believed in things that were just abhorrent to them. That's a real strange one, isn't it? I mean, that you sing for people and what they believe in is completely different. So those of us that had audiences with somewhat similar-ish interests had to speak. Pearl Jam, Moby, those people were speaking. And you have to trust that you can ride through the Clear Channel wave.
Well, I'm going to take the opportunity of introducing the first song, which of course is going to be Angels. And then you're going to do Jackie's Strength, aren't you? And then Winter from Tori. Thank you.
With a wink and a smile, you told your instructions on how to catch a train while it's moving. You always were the one that kept us all guessing how you could survive the fall you had. From being a dissident to my difference, all said he's got to watch his back. The driving ranges of Upper but it's not, I think you'd be surprised. Your dreams fade till you can't remember to recall where your eyes have gone. Tell me where You said just did trust, then you chose to sign the dotted line. From my Magdalenians to my Ben Jeffrons, all of a sudden he's got to watch his bed. Dropping angels by the Potomac, but it's not anything you'd be surprised. They liberate your dreamscape till you can't remember to recall. Your rhymes have gone. Tell me where they gone. Before I close my eyes at night, I can still see you smiling. Before the truth was buried alive, did we rise up? Before you changed the world, maybe boy you should change your girl. The trapping angels by the Potomac, the tripping angels, Lord, I know they yes. The trapping angels by the Potomac, but we're getting closer now. So we're getting closer to where they go. Tell me where they go. Tell me where they go. Now it won't be long. Shots rang out, the police came on to lead me on the front line and pray for Jerry's strength. Feeling old by 21, never thought my day would come. My bridesmaids getting late, I pray for Jerry's strength. Make me laugh, say you fool, what you want. You said we were the real thing, so I should use a rock. I'm nailer, what black magic can do. Make me laugh, say you fool, you can turn me into the real thing. So I shall use a rock. you on. You said we were the real thing, so as you're easing up, I'm learned what black magic can do. Make me laugh, say you can turn me into the real thing, so as you're easing up, I'm I got lost on my wedding day. Typical, the police came over virgins always get backstage, no matter what they've got to say. If you love enough, you lie a lot. Guess they didn't come along. Mama's waiting on my front lawn. I sit and pray for Jackie's strength. Make me laugh, say know what you want. You said we were the real thing, so as you're easing up, I'm making love. What black magic can do, make me laugh, say you can turn me into the real thing, so as you're easing up, I'm making smoking away. I forgot my name. Wipe my nose, get my new boots on. I get a little warm heart when I think of winter. I put my hand in my father's glove. I run off with a dreamsky sleeping beauty trips me with a frown. I hear a voice, you must learn to stand up for yourself, 'cause I can't always be around. He says, when you gonna make up your mind? When you gonna love you as much as I do? When you gonna see myself skating around the truth who I am. But I know that the ice is getting thin. When you gonna make up your mind? When you gonna love you as much as when you gonna make up your mind? Things are gonna change so then. Who the else is still in me? Tell you that I lies all you need. You say nothing you say I wanted you to be proud. I always wanted by myself. When you gonna make up your mind? When you gonna love you as much as I do? When you gonna make up your mind? 'Cause things are gonna change so fast. Who the else is gonna live till I rise when you need? You say
Well, thank you very much indeed, Tori. That was really moving. And the acoustics are great in here. It must be nice having somewhere where you can really rely on the acoustics.
Yeah, and the men behind them.
I want to go into now a bit more into the creative process. So tell us a bit about what goes through your mind before you start a song, and is it a long process, or does the song just come out bloop like that?
There is a form that I kind of have to propel me, so I don't sit and watch Neighbors all day. So I drag my butt over to the piano in the piano room in the studio, and it's great that we have that now, but years ago it was the same way. It was just a much smaller room and a much smaller piano. But I would go over and usually put on my little tape recorder and play different motifs for about an hour. And then I would look at these visual arts books. And in the old days, I would go to the library and check them out and, make a note of them and try and catalog images that meant something to me. And by the end of this, many months later, you have hundreds of motifs and hundreds of images that have struck you, which have then made you think of something else and given you another line. And then you start piecing together these songs, maybe 2-bar phrases here. Amber Waves was very much like that. I knew a little bit of it. I knew. Zeddy's got a healing machine, glows in the dark, glows in the dark. I had that for months. And I just couldn't think about what kind of machine he had. What am I doing? And, I'd look at that song and say, okay, I don't ask questions. I'm not supposed to. I'm not gonna. And then it took me a while to realize he was a film director. But it took me a while. So that's what you have. You've got, I know you guys are looking at me like I'm out of my mind. But what happens, you see, is it kind of gets fun. If you're a crossword person, this is the ultimate crossword puzzle. You've got maybe 20,000 little 2-bar phrases, and you just start matching them up. Like an internet dating service. You go, okay, this line can go with that line, and that can go with this. And maybe that's why they don't make much sense sometimes.
You said that one song that took the best part of 10 years to emerge, that you had a piano motif and then you kept coming back to it and trying to fit it, but it wouldn't fit. And then you play it to people and people would be sort of eyes glazing over. Yeah, very nice. Yeah.
Funny, that one. That was this little thing that I'm going to play in a bit. It was this piano intro that reminded me a bit of winter. And you don't get a lot of those every week, so I was kind of happy about that. And it became this love song about these Scottish people. Yeah, stay with me. And I realized that, maybe somebody cared about it. But in fact, there was a guy called Richard that liked it. I don't know what happened to him. But he liked it. And I had a verse and a chorus, and I've just blocked it out of my mind now. But it was based on something I'd read, some old folk tale about these lovers that were going to get together, and then the British came, and he was killed, and the girl had to go marry a British person. And she wanted to kill herself. And so I was intrigued by that story, living in London at the time. And so I was working on it, and it kind of just didn't develop. So then years later, now I can see it happening. I was going to go to Romania and visit, Vlad the Impaler's spot. Yeah, as you do. I was really drawn to that. Plus, Ahmed Erdogan, who was love him, but he's a big kingpin in the record industry. Basically, he could fuck your life up, okay? Okay? He was the guy that made Atlantic Records what it was. You know what I'm talking about? Good. But anyway, we got on very well in that kind of way that you do. And he had said, well, my wife is Romanian, and you could go to, with the professor to see that historical time. So this song starts coming back to me. So then I'm starting to write this whole other thing. And we were going to go to Turkey afterwards, as you do, following Vlad's footsteps, and stay at the palace, Ahmed's palace. And then something happened, which was the truth. I started bleeding and couldn't stop, and I said, Jesus, husband, I don't think I'm going to get to go see Vlad the Impaler. And he said, darling, I think you've already been impaled. So then, that motif just sat around.
It's a shaggy dog story, isn't it? Yes, it is.
And then it finally showed itself up again when I got a letter from a girl who had lost her best friend in the bombings in the Middle East. And she was a teenager, and her friend was a teenager. And they had played together as kids, and she said, and all of a sudden she's gone. And then it all started to make sense, and I think it came together in a couple hours.
And which song was this?
This is Seaside.
Seaside, that you're going to play tonight. And can you tell us about some of the other songs, why they suggested themselves to you for tonight, particularly?
Well, some songs I think work better in a live context than others. They just do. We really tried to get Take to the Sky on the album, but, you know, Maddie looked at me, the drummer, and just said, I miss the people. I miss the people clapping to the rhythm. I said, you miss the people? They clap wrong. They clap wrong. Well, it's true. And he said, no, but I miss them. And I said, oh. So it didn't make the record just because, you know, what are you going to do when the drummer is down on something?
And you're going to play Silent All These Years, which is a bit of an old favourite, isn't it?
Yeah, I think the funny thing about that little song is that when we put the multi up, it just, we found a few string parts that hadn't been included in the original, and that was a real treat because the string arranger, who would arrange for many greats like Frank Sinatra, and yeah, I adored this gentleman, and he died very soon after little earthquakes. So to find pieces of his work, it was just like a kiss from the other side. You know, he had secrets there left.
And when you do your songwriting, do you ever find hours and hours pass and you don't know what's happened, and Mark's wondering where you are, and everyone's wondering where you are?
I don't think anybody asks. Just leave her.
A bit like Beethoven. Yeah.
I am getting hard of hearing. I think the thing about the writing process is there's some songs that you work on for a long time, and Snow Cherries that made the record was one of those. And sometimes as a writer, and many of you here are, so you must know this one, you just know what the story is. You know what it is. And then sometimes you know characters and certain traits they have, but you don't necessarily know what's going to happen to them. And an album is very much like that. There needs to be some kind of cohesiveness. And so when you begin the writing process again, I think you have to, for me anyway, I get like a palette of ideas that I surround myself with. They could be books or paintings. I usually stay away from music because you don't want to steal. So you go to another medium and you listen to music, but if it gets ingrained, you begin to think it's yours, which is all bad. So then I change it every few weeks. All these things that, you know, have been infusing the process. And then sometimes you bring things in that you never thought would be up your street, like, you know, gardening. And you bring books that make me choose words that I wouldn't, because you have to keep pushing yourself as a writer. I mean, after you've written like a few hundred songs, you have to keep saying, you know, I have to bring other words.
So it's not about rhyming fire with desire.
I'm an assonance girl myself.
And tell us about the inspiration for Cooling, the last song that you're going to do.
Cooling was written in Ireland and was supposed to be on Boys for Pele. And I think that, similar to Honey made the Tales of a Librarian. Cooling didn't, because we visited the multi-track and we put up a live performance next to the multi. And the multi just didn't seem to have the confidence that the live performance had, and so I just felt like it didn't represent what Cooling is, who she is to me.
Who is she?
She's one of my favorites, and so I play her a lot just because it's one of, my closest songs to my heart. And we did it when we filmed the live, the last show we did, we filmed and I did it. But Honey, on the other hand, we had a performance of it. And I'm still kicking myself that it didn't make Under the Pink, because it was supposed to. And I listened to some second engineer who said, I don't really like that song. Who the fuck is she? Nice gal, but come on. You can't make those decisions like that, especially if you're the producer. That was like minus 10 points as a producer for me. Bad. So now you have to go back and say, when somebody makes a suggestion like that, you have to say, well, wait a minute, let me think about it. And sometimes I think you've got to take a sleep before you kick a song off the record that for months and months has been part of the order, part of everything. And I put a B song on instead.
And Pretty Good Year. Tell us about that one. That's quite celebratory.
That has been a very tough song to play since the last 2 years. I think even though we had Tash, and she's such a magical, just twinkle pie. Every day there's just something that makes me happy. I have one more day. But singing Pretty Good Year based on things that are happening in the world and in my home country it's been very tricky.
Ambivalence there.
Yeah, tricky, yeah.
And just lastly, what can we look forward to in terms of new material coming up?
There's a book coming about process with Ann Powers, who is the journalist. She used to be the New York Times critic, that everybody went, oh, Jesus Christ, do you have to give her my CD to review? And you love her, but if she slashed your record, it was a tough day. You get over it, but it was a tough day. Anyway, we're writing it together. So it's about process, and she doesn't work for the New York Times anymore, so she moved on, and God, she's lightened up since she left the New York Times.
Well, thank you very much, Tori, and I'll leave you now to play your songs, and just say thank you very much for being such a brilliant crowd.
Thank you, Lucy.
deep thoughts. What's so amazing about really deep thoughts? Boy, you best pray that I bleed real soon. How's that thought for you? My screen got lost in a paper cup. Do you think there's a heaven where some screams have gone? I got 25 bucks in a cracker. Do you think it's enough to get us there? 'Cause what if I'm a mermaid and there's jeans of his with a name still on it, but I don't care. 'Cause sometimes I sit, sometimes I hear my voice and it's silent always. Please go by, we'll still be waiting to understand. Please go by from strips of my beauty and the clouds raining in my head. Years go by, watching till finally there's nothing left. One more casualty and all were too easy. Well, I love the way we communicate. Your eyes focus on my funny lips shade. Let's hear what you think of me now, but baby, don't look up. The sky is falling. Your mother shows up in a nasty dress. Your turn now to stand where I stand. Everybody looking at you, they take hold of my hand. Yeah, I can hear. What if I'm a mermaid and there's jeans of yours with her name still on it, but I don't care. 'Cause sometimes I said, sometimes I hear my voice. I hear my voice. I hear my voice and it's silent This house is like the ocean with ice cold rain. You got me moving and I said I dyed my hair red today. I just want a little passion to hold me in the dark. I know I got some magic buried deep in my yeah, but my priest says you ain't saving yourselves. My father says that you ain't mapping in the morning. My doctor says you just took it to the limit. And here I stand with a sword in my hand. You can say it one more time. see what I take to the sky. Gonna take to the sky. My heart is like the ocean. It gets away. It's so close to touching freedom. And then I hear the gods call my name. And then my priest sings. You ain't saying enough, so my focus is you ain't making any money. My doctor says you just took it to the limit. And here I stand with the sword in my hand. You can say it one more time. Go on then. Let me hear it one more time and have a see my life. Take to the sky. Gonna take to the sky. If I ever don't meet you just a little while, what do you I know? If I ever don't meet you just a little while, what do you in the radio? If I ever don't meet you just a little while, what do you take it, boy. Oh, why do you take it now? Why do you take it now? 'Cause it's all these hands and this, all these hands and now. It's like, 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 this house is like Russia with ice cold and gray. You got me moving in a cigar. I dyed my hair red today. And my priest says you ain't saying no souls. My father says you ain't making any money. My doctor says you just took it to the limit. And here I stand with this sword in my hand. You can see it one more time. Go on, man. You can see it one more time. Come on, man. You can say it one more time. Go on, man. Let me hear it one more time. Then have a see my life. Take to the sky. Gonna take to the sky. Take to, 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 take to. take to the sky. Heard from the TV of the ladies ballad. The girls were dancing, she was coming of age. Shoes fired out, flowers mowed down. Innocence targeted, whose God is this? Wish that she had one more dear. There at the seaside, 5th of December, we chased the tide as our treasures were gathered. We had her to laugh as she gave sound of breath. Jangle, jangle, jingle, jangle, jangle and circle, oogie. Jangle, jangle, jingle, jangle, jangle and circle Heard from the TV of the latest ballad. The girls were dancing, she was coming of age. Shots blasted high, flowers mowed down. Innocence targeted, whose God is this? Wish that she had one more day. There at the seaside, 5th of December, we chased the tide as our treasures were gathered. I had to laugh when she gave sound of death. Jangle, jangle, jingle, jangle, jangle and circle, oogie. Jangle, jangle, jingle, jangle, jangle and circle. and no footman bought himself a bike to race. Greg, he writes letters and burns the CDs. Let's say you were something in those formative years. Hold on to nothing as fast as you can. Well, still pretty good. Maybe not, so now you're off. You're gonna see America. Let me tell you something about sometimes he's a whale at the drawing. Lucy was pretty, your best friend agreed. Snooze. go for a ride. There's oceans wrapped around that pineapple tree. And is your place in heaven worth giving up? These kisses, these kisses. Peggy got a message for me from Jesus. Never would ever that you have seen. I know driven like the snow. This is